Sairam everyone. We were discussing Krishna's advice or Swami's advice also, I would say, that we should have we should do some preliminary disciplines, some preparatory steps in our sadhana so that we will be able to remember Om at the end of our life. And Swami says we should start the practice now itself, and we should continuously do and be prepared for any moment, which can be any moment in our life when the call comes. So I will stop here and I will ask sisters to continue from where we left off. Sairam.
Sairam. For when the mind is flitting from one fancy to another, how can the production of a sound Om by the vocal organs, be of any benefit? The sound will not help the attainment of liberation. The senses have to be curbed. Thoughts have to be one-pointed. The glory has to be apprehended. That is why the Lord advised that from the birth to death, one must be engaged in the search for truth. Instead, if you postpone sadhana until the last moment, you will be like the student who turns over the pages of his textbook for the first time, just before he enters the examination hall. If the student feels that he has before him 1 full year, and if he neglects to learn from the teacher and from their lecture notes and from the books, how can anything enter his brain when he opens the pages of his books that very morning? It will only add to his despair. He can be pronounced proficient only in indolence. No tree will yield fruits the moment you plant the seedling in your backyard. To reach that stage, you have to foster it with care over a long period of time, is it not? Similarly, whatever result you seek, you have to follow carefully without break the preparatory disciplines. No one can acquire the fruit without vigilance and steadfastness. Sadhakas, spiritual aspirants, must be always aware of this. The yearning must be directed away from how to be born towards how to die. For birth depends on how death takes place. Death comes first, birth happens later. Folks believe that men are born to die, that they die so that they may be born. This is wrong. You are born so that you may not be born again. You die so that you may not die again. That is to say, the man who dies must so die that he is not born again. When once you die, you should not be born again to meet another death. Death is inevitable if you are born. So avoid birth and avoid death. So the sadhaka should not aspire for a good birth. He should seek a good death. You may be born well in a good family or with many favorable circumstances, but subsequent karma may not ensure a good death. So if a good death is aimed at, the trouble of being born and becoming once again subject to death can be avoided. Every man born must have the end always in view. Cultivate good habits of thought and action in order to make that end genuinely auspicious. Attaining such an end is the unmistakable sign of having won the grace of God.
Thank you very much, sister. So Swami is again reiterating that we have to go through some preparatory disciplines. I think we discussed quite a bit of that already. If anyone has something to say about any of the points which Swami is stated here. Sairam.
Sarah Uncle. I think last week we were discussing the first paragraph.
Yes.
So I just wanted to clarify, like, when Swami saying just a production of the sound om by the vocal cords will not have any benefit. And I think from the stories and everything that was shared and the answers that were shared, it seems like along with the sound, like the focus, the mental focus must be there for it to have any benefit. So what would you say to like the converse argument? Like, you know, like sometimes people say, oh, like, it's okay if I listen to this music, I don't even know the meaning. But I feel like there's also some like subtle things that are that like just by listening to something that is good, like if you even if you just hear like Veda chanting or whatever, but it's like you don't understanding it or anything. Doesn't that also have some subtle like good impact versus listening to other music? Maybe that doesn't have that has more negative meanings.
Yeah, good question, Kalyani. I will open it up for discussion. You know, I'm sure everyone has read, studied, or listened to Swami's teachings or general. So I will open it up for anyone to say. So how does this doesn't, you know, just Om, the vocal cords alone, saying Om or listening to some of these mantras, what is the benefit? What is the extent of benefit, if at all there is any? I think that's the question. And how does this compare with what Swami has said? So I will open it up for discussion. Anyone who would like to share your thoughts? I guess if no one is saying, so maybe I will go then. Yes, Brother Dasan, I think you.
Yeah. So, Saram brother, if you are listening and you have to listen from the heart. So, for an example, if you put the mantras on the tape recorder, is the tape recorder going to get moksha? No. Same way, when you chant any mantras or anything, you are listening, any study circle things and everything, it has to go to your mind, and from the mind, it has to go to the heart. Then if you experience that one, then that is the benefit there. Otherwise, there's no benefit. Thank you, Saira.
Okay, thank you very much, brother. Anyone else who would like to say anything? So maybe I will go ahead. I think Kalyani Swami has already spoken about two things, preliminary exercises. I think that statement has some bearing on this question. I think the first preliminary discipline Swami says is our senses should be controlled. Then number two, the mind should be focused. So then we can ask, I think we did a lot of discussion and everyone said, you know, we can control the senses by namasmarana, some mantras are very powerful, all that. But Swami didn't say any of that. Swami has stated sense control is important. So I think we need to first understand what Swami says and what we should do. I think once we study that, I think the answer to your question should be to some extent answered. See, the thing is, name, if it, you know, I use the analogy of name as something like a water with which you are cleaning yourself. So for us to clean ourselves, we need good water, clean water. If we take the name of God or any mantra or Om, which Swami is talking about here, is a mantra, and that is capable of cleaning. So then the question is, even if we heard, listened, it should clean. I think that's the question. Just the way water will clean wherever the water touches. Okay, if I am washing only my hand and think my body is getting cleaned, then I need to bathe my body also with water. So senses also will get cleansed when you listen. When you speak, your sense will get cleansed. But the mind will not be cleansed unless the mind is focusing on that. Only when the mind focuses, the name enters the mind. Only then the mind will be cleansed. So the reason, you know, I think is, why Swami is saying our senses should be first controlled is, the reality is our senses will, for example, our ear will listen to the name of God, And we may listen to anything else in this world also. But if we listen to anything else, actually, there's some dirt going in. Okay, for example, even if you have clean water, you have a vessel which is dirty, which you dip in the mud each time and then lift up clean water. Do you think we can clean ourselves? We can never clean. If the vessel with which we are collecting water, if that is not clean by itself, no amount of dipping in water or washing it with that vessel will not be of use. The reality is we fill our senses with negative things also. So because of that, it's just like you take a vessel, you dip it in the mud, then you pick up water, and we say, I'm cleaning. The mud also will be going on top of us. We will never be cleansed. So the senses have to always take something positive. Should not be tainted by things which are not pure. So the reality is, for example, if you are listening to Om, or we are listening to bhajan, even without understanding anything, there is some positive vibration that will definitely cleanse the senses. Okay, to that extent there is benefit. But the thing is, unless the mind is focused, the name is not entering the mind, and the mind will not be cleansed. When the mind is also cleansed, only then the real benefit of the mantra will come. That is the bhava, the feeling, all that. We may imagine that we have feelings and all that, but if the mind is tainted by some external vasanas, or the senses are tainted by other unsavory things, then no amount of listening to bhajan or anything will be of any benefit, because Swami says our mind should not be like a fly which sits on the filth on the street and also on some sweet meat. Swami says a bee will always go for the honey. It will not touch anything else. So there is benefit, because we are spending some amount of time listening to something positive. So that itself is a benefit, because two things happening. One is negative things are not going into the ear, and positive things are going into the ear. So I think there is benefit. That's my understanding. So I will stop here. I think I spoke too much. I will ask others to share their thoughts, please. Saira.
Sairam, beautiful explanation. Thank you.
Saira. Swami has spoken on this topic many times in many discourses, written in Vahinis also. So I'm just parroting. So hopefully I can also practice. Any no other thought means I think we will go to the next. No tree will yield fruits the moment you plant the seedling. If anyone would like to share.
We didn't read the Telugu for the rest.
Okay, auntie is there, I guess.
Sairam, Arun.
Saira,
I'm finding it difficult to find in my cell phone. Please go ahead.
Okay, auntie.
The last few lines, which I don't have here in this book.
Yes, I understand, auntie. I understand. So I will
Go ahead,
just.
it, but I'm finding it difficult to get it.
I think.
Brother,
Kalyani, yes, sister.
Shall we discuss on that statement also, how to be born towards how to die?
Okay.
Thank you.
I think I will just read the Telugu once. I think that way, some clarity on some of the sentences. Then we will. Kalyani, do you remember?
Yeah, it's after the Itti Stiti Parama Somari Potu Vidyaga.
Okay. Okay. So, Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. I am just finding the location.
Right.
Okay, sorry. Give me. Is it Sarvendri Sambats? మొదలు పుట్టు తరువాత, that's what
I was having it.
I will just read from okay, I think I got it.
Mm.
Sarvendriyam, maybe I will just read from here. I don't know. I think I will read from here, okay. ఎవరైనా సరే అన్నాడు కృష్ణుడు, దీనికి ఏ తెగలు కానీ ఏ లింగ భేదములు కానీ చూపలేదు. ఎవరు అర్హులు ఎవరు, I think we have covered that, no?
Yeah, we have covered that. This is number 15, end of.
Okay. It's about the examination also we have.
Yes, just after that part.
After that?
Just after the examination part, yeah.
Okay. ఇట్టి స్థితి పరమ సోమరిపోటు విద్యగా ఉండును. That's the way, no?
Yes, that's where we ended.
Okay. మనము మన పెరటిలో ఏదైనా పండ్ల చెట్టు వేసుకొనవలెనని ఆశించి విత్తనము పాదిలో బూడ్చిన తక్షణమే చెట్టయి ఫలములను అందించదు.
Yeah.
Auntie, you can.
As soon as we want a fruit tree to be grown at our backyard, we put a seed, and immediately you can't expect that seed to grow into a big tree and give fruits.
ఫలము అందించునట్టి స్థితికి రావలెనన్న దానికి పూర్వము ఎన్ని విధములనో దానిని పోషించి కాపాడుకొనవలెను.
Yeah. To get that fruit, we have to nourish that sapling, and we have to take care of it for a long time so that it grows into a good tree and give us fruits.
ఎన్నో సంవత్సరములు దానిని కాపాడి పోషించిన కదా తదుపరి ఫలములను అనుభవింపజేయును.
Yeah. After taking care of that tree, that sapling for a number of years, only then it can give fruit.
అటులనే మనము ఏ కార్యమును సాధించవలెనన్నను దానికి పూర్వము దాని ఫలసిద్ధికై తగిన కర్మ సక్రమముగా సాగించవలెను.
To attain any of these achievements, we have to put forth a lot of effort beforehand, so that the preparatory practices have to be first of all given first preference. Only then you can get that attain the whatever you want to do.
అంతేకాని పూర్వము చేయవలసిన కర్మములను మని అంత్య ఫలము కావాలంటే అది ఎట్టి వారికైనను లభించదు.
Before putting forth effort, if you want the fruit to be, you want to have the fruit, it cannot be. You cannot get it.
సాధకులు కూడాను ముఖ్యముగా తెలుసుకొనవలసినది ఎట్లు పుట్టవలను అనుదానికంటే ఎట్లు చావవలను అనునదే.
So sadhakas should first learn how to be, instead of knowing how to be born, first you must know how to die. Swami is saying.
చచ్చే దానిని పట్టే పుట్టుట సంభవించును.
Your birth depends on the death of the present birth.
చావు మొదలు పుట్టు తర్వాత.
First death and then birth again afterwards.
పుట్టేది చచ్చే కోరకనియు చచ్చేది పుట్టే కోరకనియు సామాన్య మానవులు తలంతురు.
Common man thinks, we are born here to die and we die only to be born again. That's what all the common people think about.
కానీ అది నిజము కాదు.
It's not true.
కుండటకు చచ్చుట తిరిగి చావుకుండుటకు.
So we are born not to die, and we die not to be born again.
పుట్టుటకు.
Puttuta means taking birth, not to be born again.
చచ్చుట తిరిగి చావకుండట.
Dying is not to die again.
అనగా చచ్చిన వాడు పుట్టకుండా ఉండవలనని అర్థము.
Those who die should not be born again.
పుట్టిన కదా చావు.
If you are born only, then you have to die.
పుట్టకున్న చావే లేదు.
If you are not born, there is no death at all.
దీనిని పట్టి సాధకులు మంచి చావును కోరవలను కానీ.
So people have to wish for good death.
మంచి పుట్టును కోరరాదు.
You should not wish for good birth. So first Swami is saying that we have to wish for good death rather than good birth.
పుట్టుట మంచిగానే పుట్టవచ్చును.
When we are born, we can be born in a good way.
తదుపరి మన కర్మలను పట్టి మంచిది రాకుండవచ్చు.
After that, when we are born, according to our karma, we may not be able to get that good benefits of our karma.
కనుక చావును మంచిదిగా కోరిన తిరిగి పుట్టుకతో పని ఉండదు.
మంచి చావును కోరవలను, మంచి పుట్టును కోరరాదు.
కనుక చావును మంచిదిగా కోరిన తిరిగి పుట్టుకతో పని ఉండదు.
Please go ahead. I am searching.
So కనుక చావును మంచిదిగా కోరిన. So if you wish for a good death, తిరిగి పుట్టుకతో పని ఉండదు. There's no work related to being born again. పుట్టిన ప్రతి మానవుడు అంత్యమును ప్రధానముగా లక్ష్యముంచుకొని ఉత్తమ అంత్యము కలుగనట్టి సదాభ్యాసములు సాధన రూపమున సాధించవలను. స్వామి,
please go ahead.
Okay. పుట్టిన ప్రతి మానవుడు, every human being who is born, అంత్యమును ప్రధానముగా లక్ష్యముందుచుకొని, we should keep our death as our goal. ఉత్తమ అంత్యము కలుగునట్టి, for the sake of obtaining a supreme death,
good death,
సదభ్యాసములు సాధనా రూపమున సాధించవలను.
Good habits, sadabhyasulu sadhana rupamana sadhinchunu.
So we should engage in good practices and good sadhanas. అదియే సాధకులకు సరి అయిన అనుగ్రహ ప్రసాదము.
That is the good blessing for a sadhaka. Sorry, I had to search in myself.
No, sorry, auntie. I know it's tough for you.
Really tough. In that small, I can't even watch in that small cell phone. Anyway, it's good.
Okay, so we'll go back to the question. I think Sister Aruna wants to know about death or something like that.
Yeah, death. What was her question? Aruna, what is your question, please?
I just wanted to discuss the Swami's words, how to be born towards how to die, right? So directions is not to think about like a born again thing, how to die. So how to die part, I think we'll discuss little more before we turn on the page. That's what I was suggesting. Thank you.
Yeah, I think what Swami is saying is, we all think we should do good karma, so we next birth will be very good and all that. Swami says that's of no use, because you may be born again, but if you're not going to make use of that birth also, then that's of no use. So he's saying today you have a birth, you are already living. The first thing which you're going to come across is death. So just focus on the death and focus on how not to be born. And I think Krishna has said you should be able to chant Om, so that you're not, you
Yes.
reach them. Okay.
Yes, I got it clear. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else would like to comment?
During our lifetime, we should try to do good things, good karmas, so that, our death will be a good death. Some people are not born again. That's all. When we realize that self-realization should come in this birth itself, we should know who we are. We are not this body and mind. We are the supreme self. When we realize that, then you get that mukti, Jivan Mukti itself, you get here, so that we are not born again. Sairam.
Sairam, up until now, I thought myself, the Swami is telling you clearly how to die is much more important than how to be born. But up until now, I thought how to die. Even in the previous sessions we studied, it's not really in our hand. Because it is some of the thoughts, it may come at the time of the death, and it may take us either to the down or up, depending on our thoughts and those things. It's little bit, it's like either the chicken or egg, which one comes first, kind of. Maybe maybe one in million or one in billion, they may, for their death, it would be the final destination. They may not born again. But most of us, we are going to born again. So if that is the case, maybe according to my knowledge, I thought how to be born. Always we think in this birth we will do something good, then we will be having a good birth at our the next the birth or something. So so how to aim? We have to die in a good way, and also maybe Swami indirectly teaches or tells us don't fear of death. That's what I am getting from this one. Don't fear of death. You are going to die for good. That's why you expect lovingly and ready to go. That's kind of feeling I got it from this one. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, sister. Yes, Brother Tasan.
Yes, I am, brother. So we are working towards end of the cycle. That means birth and the death. So we born not to born again. We die not to die again. That means if you understand this one, you should practice whatever the Swami is teaching, because the teaching supposed to be we are going towards end of the death, everyone. So whatever you're thinking in the last moment, that will determine your birth. So if you think about the God, the Pranava, then you can merge with that. But if you think something else, you have to born according to your wish. That wish may be different, but you have to born again. Thank you, Saira.
Sai Ram, thank you. Yes, Sister Narmada.
Sorry, I mean, I was just listening to everyone and looking at this. And also like Auntie's question as to, I guess that's why I think Swami is saying that we have to start early and not wait till the day of the exam to kind of focus on. And also I was thinking even about not to be born again and expecting a good death. And when Swami says, the Sataka should start, spiritual aspirant should start early. But if we think that if you want to do good karma, or if we are saying, bad karma, for example, but even if it's good karma, then you'll have to be born again to experience that good karma, right? Like work through the good karma. So I don't know, I'm just thinking, I guess the best way or for us to focus on a good death is just live in the moment with detachment. Do our work so that we are not accumulating either good karma or bad karma. So in that way, we are left with nothing to come back again. Maybe I'm not understanding. Can you explain that? Because to me, the moment I say, okay, we are accumulating or we are doing good karma, then you'll have to be born again to live through that good karma, don't you? And I don't know if you can explain that a bit.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. I will again open it up for anyone to share your thoughts.
The good karma, when we offer to the Lord, we will not have anything. So in that way, you think of Lord, then you will merge with the God. That's how I'm thinking. Like after this discussion, I'm thinking like this. So if you keep your good karma for yourself, of course you have to be born. And you have to enjoy whatever you think of like that. And you have to do good again. And when you give up your attachment only, you will be merging with God. That's how I will look at it. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, sister.
Yeah, Aruna is saying Nishkama Karma. I think she means only Nishkama Karma. When you do that, yeah, and you don't have to be born again because you are offering everything to the Lord. So there is nothing personal there, or personal benefit is not there. So everything you do for the sake of the Lord and then offering it to Him. So the one thing, but what I think is the main purpose of our human birth is to get moksha, not to be born again. So that purpose we have to keep in our view and then lead our lives and try as much as possible to realize that self. Saira.
Thank you very much, Auntie. Anyone else would like to share any thoughts? Yes, Sister Anita.
Sairam, there is different kinds of people. There is some people they do nishkam seva, or they do more for others than for themselves. And sometimes there is some people who live a righteous life and they don't mingle or do any, like, they're not like towards the society doing anything, but they are honest and they're good people and they're just living for themselves, like, just being honest, being good citizen, not harming anybody. So who is to determine who would be going towards moksha? People who would be sacrificing their life for others, or people who are totally detached? Because even when we are doing for other people, if you're working in a hospital, when you're volunteering and stuff, you do get attached a little bit. And the other person is totally detached and they're working towards their own salvation. I'm a little bit confused in that. I don't know if I explained it properly or not.
Yeah. So maybe I will try to express what I understood from your question. You're saying there are some people who are helping others, doing a lot of service and all that.
Right.
Because they think that's a good thing to do.
Right.
Then there is another set who are not doing, helping everyone around, but they lead a very honest
Yeah.
and clean life. But
Right.
they just look, they just look out for themselves. They don't have attachment for this or that, but they just look after themselves. They may not go out and do anything, but they are
Right.
law-abiding citizen. They don't harm anyone and all that.
Yes. Yes.
So you are trying to ask, who will reach moksha?
Right.
Which is better, and
Yeah.
how does those two situations compare with what Swami is telling?
Right.
Okay, that's okay. Thank you very much, sister. So I
Thanks.
will open it up for discussion, because we all are leading, if we ask, we all of ourselves say we are, doing good things, we are doing what Swami teaches. We look out for ourselves. Sometimes we do service to others. Is this good enough?
I know it's not good enough, because when you're crossing the river, like I'm crossing the river, it's good if I take 4 people with me in crossing the river, then I just go alone. That would be selfish. But there is some people who are very much to themselves, and they feel like, why would I tell other person, do you need help? I want to help. And that kind of personality.
Thank you. Thank you, sister. Thank you.
Thank
Anyone who would like to comment on this?
So Sairam, brother, I'm not taking much time. I'm just trying to do small. So service to man, service to God. And fish is better than the selfish person. The karma is the best tool achieve the moksha. Even Lord Krishna said, compared to bhakti, dhyana, everything. So do the good karma, niskarma karma, then you can achieve the moksha. Thank you, Saira.
Sairam, brother. Sairam. Anyone else would like to share anything?
Yeah, Sairamana.
Yes.
So we have this quote in Sanskrit which says, Atmano mokshartam jagat hitaya cha. That is, while Atmano mokshartam is while striving for the moksha of the self, we work for the benefit or welfare of the society or the world. So in that context, I would like to make it clear that so for a person who is drowning, that person cannot help another person who is drowning. So obviously they have to call out to who is on the shore to come and help. That is where, whether we call it bhajans, sadhana, satsang, all of these are efforts to call out to the person on the shore who is God, so that God will help us cross this ocean of samsara, or however we want to call it, basically save us from drowning. So whether we are doing keeping to ourselves or doing seva, ultimately we should be seeing whether it is helping us improve. Is it helping me when I do this seva also? If I am doing it more out of the feeling of showing that I am doing seva, then that seva is of no help. Is that seva ultimately making me realize that the one whom I am serving is the very Lord who is within me? Is it developing that kind of love within me? So ultimately, whether it is that individual sadhana, keeping to oneself, or engaging in service, ultimately, what is it doing to make my inner being better, or basically cleansing myself on the uh, inner front? But nevertheless, that act of what we have seen in Swami's Seva organizations, the very thing of Seva came into being because when I do that for others, ultimately it helps me realize that I see that same divinity that is enshrined within me in the other person as well, and helps it hasten that process of cleaning. That is where the Jagat Hitayecha comes, where for the welfare of the others, we do, and in doing for the welfare of others, our own welfare gets taken care of. So it is, in the ultimate sense, it comes down to whom are we doing it for. It is the same interconnected thing, that same divinity that is all pervasive. We initially perceive it on the outside and keep doing it on the outside, but ultimately we realize that we are doing it more for our own self, and that is where the real growth comes.
Thank you very much, Sai Satish. Yes, Sister Shivani.
Sai Ram, just to add what Brother Sai Satish he said, it reminded me of I don't know who it was, Sundaraya, or at one of our spiritual retreat, one of our youth asked him that, is it wrong to, for many of us as young adults, we think about going around the world, seeing the world, visit different countries, something wrong with it? And he answered exactly what Brother Sai Satish alluded towards, that, and he said the same thing, that if going around the world, seeing different cities and the people, meeting them, if it helps you to realize God and knowing the truth, reality, it helps you spiritually grow, go ahead and do it, because that's your journey. That's how you connect with God. So I think whatever path we take, whether it's jnana or bhakti or helping others, if it help me to grow spiritually, then nothing wrong with it. Just to add to what he said, Sai.
Thank you very much, sister. Anyone else would like to add? Maybe I'll just add to whatever was discussed by the brothers and sisters. See, the thing is, Swami has spent a lot of time in talking about what should be our order of priority. In one of the discourses, Swami says, S stands for spirituality, A stands for association, and I stands for individual. He says the primary focus on everyone's life should be spirituality. That's God. God first, world second, and individual last. Because if that order is not maintained, then it's completely reverse. He says people like Kamsa, Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, all of them started with I, then went to association or society, and then they thought about God. So then Swami says, then you are in reverse mode. You're moving away from God. And this is what happened. I think whatever we focus on, that's what we reach. So Swami, that's why Swami is spending this, what we just read is just that we should focus on the end of our life. Then the question, I think what Sister Anita asked, are we just focusing on ourselves? I think that's the question. But I think Sai Satish's quote, Atmano mokshartham. It didn't say Atmano atmahitartham. It's not, I only spend time, the Atman has to only think about moksha. Whatever else we do, it should be for the benefit of the world. But, then we reverse it and say, because Atma Moksha cannot be tainted by Atma Hitam alone, thinking about ourselves. And I think another question you mentioned about, doing good to other people, I'm reminded of Karna. Karna was a great philanthropist. He gave away everything. Anyone who asked, he gave. He did a lot of good. But for him, he also was very important. He led a very good life, but his association, his own personal desires came in the way of him attaining all that is good, because he became indebted to people who were not the best. Even though he was a good man, very talented, very skilled, very knowledgeable, he lost it all. As Swami always talks about that, because he did not give the importance to God as much as anything else. So the thing is, he may have benefited in some ways, but as Krishna tells Arjuna, he did not have Arjuna, however great he was. He did not have. Whereas Arjuna had only Krishna, and Krishna took care of everything. So I think that's number one. I think to Sister Shivani's point, sometimes the Vedas and Shastras have told us how to reach God. Sometimes, we like to imagine that what we like to do is actually sadhana. which we have come up with. Sometimes we give logic and then we look for validation, and people who themselves are like that may validate that. Or you can just go on, you can tour certain countries, go on sightseeing, and then, you say, I am seeing God there. Time, money, resources are spent in that. I don't know whether, that's an approved, sanctioned by Shastra's method. That's what I can say, but I will leave it at that. But I think everyone has to follow what impulse from the heart. But I think we are discussing what Swami has told. I think that's what that's important. Because the thing is, Swami has told this, Arjuna would just follow this. Arjuna didn't say, okay, Krishna, I am going to do something else. Why can't I reach you? He never asked. He just accepted what Krishna said and followed just the way Krishna instructed. I think that's what I would say. I will stop here. Sairam, anyone else would like to comment?
Brother, sorry. Okay, Maha can go first.
Thank you. This one, Swami saying that love all, serve all, help ever, hurt never. So this one I happened to listen an interview, Brother Ame. So I think Australian devotees, they were asking. One of the devotee asked, whenever we come to Puttapati, we are sitting there in the darshan, and we see, it's written on Samadhi, love all, serve all, and help our hurt never. So when we are there, it's much easier for us to follow Swami teaching. And once we reach home, we forget everything. So he asked Brother Ame, just give some explanation. And he said, there are so many, one of them, and he said, the first thing is, in order to do that one, you go reverse, hurt never. First you do hurt never. So that means, we are avoiding bad karma. And after that you do help ever. You can help everyone, you can do the service. Help ever, then serve all. Then after that, you can start to love everyone. So this is the easy way, love all, serve all. When you start, it's really, really hard. If you go from hurt never, help our, serve all, love all, is much easier. So in that way, it can reduce our karma. That's what I'm thinking. Thank you, Sandra.
Sister Aruna.
Brother, I was just thinking about Anita's question in regards to one person is keeping the sadhana to himself, the person. For that, I always believe, all the creation of is his. So Prakriti is his. So if once we experience and once we contact or serve what you see, you enjoy that Prakriti only, you will, and you have to know what you're looking in everything is the Lord. You have to try and see. When you serve only, you will be realizing that part. You will understand his creation, or understand, you will start to enjoy, or you will try to see things. So that will take you to the one-pointedness, to see everything is his creation. Then, so this without serving anybody, if you're keeping to yourself, you are not learning anything. That is just I don't think that will take you to the one-pointedness. That's how I would say. Thank you. So it's always has to serve others. Thanks, Sairam.
Thank you very much, sister.
Sairam,
Sairam.
This statement, you are born so that you may not be born again, and you die so that you may not die again. So how to, and this sentence, I think we need a little clarification.
So, Auntie, this Once, yeah.
Chachuta Trigi Chavan Chava Kundataku. The statement is.
Once Swami came out and asked some boys who had come there for blessings for the writing exam. So Swami asked, why are you writing the exam? Because they were final year students or something like that. So everyone gave different answers. They said, Swami, we are writing the exam so then will get our degree. Somebody said, Swami, we are writing the exams to test whether we know the subject. Some people said, Swami, we write the exams, we pass and then we can get a job. Then Swami said, no, none of your answers are good enough. And then boys, of course, kept quiet. And then Swami said, you're writing the exam today so that you don't have to write the same exam tomorrow, next time. So you write an exam so that you don't have to write that exam ever again. So instead of that, if you're not focused on that, and you are preparing for the next exam, you're planning to fail this exam, and then you are going to write the next exam. He said, who will do that? So the thing is, the first exam which we are going to face in life, because we are all alive today, the first thing is exam, which is death. We should pass that very well. So that if we pass that well, then there is no more exams. We don't have to worry about it. We may get a degree. The degree may be God himself. So instead of preparing for the exam which is upcoming, we should not be preparing for next school year, repeating the same class. So Swami says, exam, I have set the exam, you are born, now you have to write the exam when you die. So just focus only on the exam. Don't think about next year, how will I study? Next year, will I get an admission for repeating this exam? I think that's what I understood, Sister Auntie, so I will stop there. Others can share.
So Sairam brother, I can tell the similar story. The two devotees meet at the Puttaparthi. So the one devotee asks what you are doing. The one devotee is a student, other one is an elderly person. The person said, I am studying here, degree. So whenever he asked, he talked about only, okay, what subjects you are doing, this one. Whenever he asked, he talked about that focus only, nothing else. So then finally he asked, okay, if I come next year, I can meet you are, because I will pass out. So I won't be there. So his concentration mainly to pass out. Same way, when we come to this world, we have to pass out, complete our exam too. Thank you, Saira.
Saira. I think on the same thing, I'm not suddenly remembered. Once many people keep on asking Swami, when you are born as Prema Sai, I want to be with you. So Swami's standard answer is, if you have not gotten any benefit of Sathya Sai, what is the point in having Prema Sai? So, sometimes we think, sometime in the future, we can do better. So I will say, you already have the opportunity. If you're not making use of it, what will you do with the next opportunity?
Yeah.
Sairam, Auntie, please go ahead.
So what Swami is trying to say, you are given this birth. Utilize this birth. Utilize this birth and don't think of so that you are not going to be born again. Puttedani kaadu. So you are born so that you may not be born again. So this life is given to you. So let us utilize it to the fullest extent possible and then try not to be born again.
So brother, can we say if we are born again that we have failed the previous exam? Yeah.
Of course.
You failed exam. You failed exam.
We are all repeaters.
Sarah, Uncle, I just want to clarify from the previous discussion, like say you have a decision and you feel that like you can do one of two things, and one thing will be more beneficial to you. You think it will be more spiritually beneficial to you, like maybe allow you to do more sadhana, etc. But the other decision may allow you to do more service. But so I guess in that, is it always better to choose the one where you can do more sadhana?
Good question, Kalyani, but I think I talked too much today. I will ask others to share their thoughts, please. Good question.
That's how my question was popping up, because Kalyani, like there is some yogis who just are on their own and on their spiritual path, and then there is other who are helping the society. And how do you tell if that yogi is just aimed at reaching God and the other people are serving the rest of the humanity? So who's to say which is the better path? That's why I was confused when I asked that question. Sairam.
So Sairam, brother, I'm just coming again, brother. So if you take a husband and wife, wife is at home. So when the husband comes, he's supposed to do all the work, food, coffee, when he's tired and everything, he has to take care of everything. If the wife is not doing anything, what the husband will do? You know, everyone. Same thing. This Prakriti is created by the Paramatma. So we have to take care of the Prakriti properly. Then we get the blessing and grace from him. If yogi is going to the some remote place, they can achieve their target too, but they are not going to do any. Most of them, they are not going to share their experience to the public. But here, the Gita itself taught us how to reach to the God just doing the niskama karma easy way. So this is my understanding. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam, I also think when we say yogis or jnanis, they have already passed these stages and get into that level. So we shouldn't think about that. They have, they bypass all of these and suddenly, sitting in a cave and meditating just to attain just to merge with the Parabrahman or something. They have already gone through. That's why Swami beautifully said in the second passage, no tree will yield fruits the moment you plant the seedling in your backyard. You have to go through maybe several ages, to get into that level. That's why if someone, they just doing the personal sadhana or meditating or some sort of this self-centered sadhana, they have already done. They have. I believe Sister Maha beautifully explained the stages. They have stopped hurting other people, helping others, then serve all, then love all through the meditating and sending the cosmic power to all of them. And we also think yogis, they meditate for themselves. No, maybe for the maybe the universal welfare or the world's welfare, they are doing that one. We have to realize that. And also, I think that we have our vessels are very perforated vessels. We cannot, even the God's grace coming or pouring, we cannot take the grace or blessings because we have that much holes in our vessel. But those people, they would be having a very solid vessel. That's why we have to really yearn or the work hard to get that level. That's my understanding. Thank you, Saira.
Sairam, Sita, thank you very much. Any other thoughts, please?
Sairam, brother. Oh, go ahead, brother Sai Satish.
Yeah, after you, sister. No problem.
It reminds me, I think, very early on this, we have talked about different. I don't know if it's I'm relating to the different paths of liberation, jnana, bhakti, and I think everybody's basically discussed or touched on that as well. And I think we said it depends on the person. Some people may devote their time in service, but somewhere along the line, they have that some percentage of bhakti or, jnana as well. So it's no path, one path is the right path, is the cumulatively, it depends on what percentage is more higher. Maybe for some people is jnana, some people for service, some people for, bhakti, but somewhere along the line, everybody touches on those paths as well. So I don't know if I don't know, Brother Arun, if you remember, we did touch, and I think this question I'm relating to what we have discussed in the past.
Thank you very much, sister. Thank you. Sai Satish, you would like to say something?
Yeah, Sai Ramana. So I would just go back to again the same thing of sadhana and what is the result of sadhana, and again the seva thing, like what has been told by all brothers and sisters. It is the good part of Sanatana Sanskriti is that as many seekers, those many paths. There is no like literally one path. Few people take the relationship with God as a friend. Few people, in whatever way they want to perceive God, they adopt that relationship with God and go towards. Because ultimately, whether we say we are sitting and meditating in a cave, or we are doing that service in the society, it is to connect within. And what we also say is hands in the society, but head in the forest. So ultimately, every time, whether we say that we are sitting in a cave or we are in the society, the end result of both is always to be in communion with the Lord. And again, we also know the same thing of what we have discussed earlier as well, like satsangatve nissangatvam, nissangatve nirmohatvam, nirmohatve nischalatatvam, nischalatatve jivan mukti. So it starts with good company, good action, those kind of thing. But every time it is to lead to that ultimate thing of, though we are in the world, we are not like of the world. So we are in samsara, but samsara is not in us. So even as that aspect, if it is, because there is again, this is again a quote which says, for the sake of the family, individual can be sacrificed. For sake of society, family can be sacrificed. For sake of nation, society can be sacrificed. For sake of world, nation can be sacrificed. But for sake of the self, the highest self, the whole world can be given up, in the sense of giving up the whole feeling of samsara. So again, like what sister was mentioning earlier, we are a makeup of, like, whether it is bhakti, jnana, or karma yoga, whatever it is. But ultimately, the whole effort should be what Anna also was mentioning earlier about, like Swami would say, joy, Jesus or God first, oh others next, why yourself last. So whatever, what is that activity ultimately giving me the true joy, a lasting joy, and helping me to connect within? And is it ultimately, it has to result in a selfless feeling, as long as the self is becoming less and becoming truly selfless, so that we attain the highest self. That would be the real journey, independent of how we say, because ultimately even those who are sitting and praying for the sake of the world are also doing the seva in itself. So it is for each person to see how they evolve. Sairam.
Thank you very much, Sai Satish. So I think everyone shared wonderful ideas. I think the entire Geetha Vahini is about what sadhana you can do. And Krishna has laid out various ways of attaining him. And I think all of us can pick and choose one. Whether it is individual sadhana, solitary sadhana, or service to the world. As Sai Satish mentioned, for any of these, God should be the center. If as long as we are able to get close to the Lord, think of the Lord at all times. Any activity which we take up as sadhana is okay. And I think each person can choose according to their situation, their aptitude, their liking. As long as the Lord is the center of it all, with activity or sadhana, I think that's what matters. So I will stop here because we are going to, Krishna Swami is going to talk about various sadhanas hereafter anyway. Thank you. I think Kalyani, I think your question is okay, reasonably answered, I guess.
Yes, and can I just ask, like, so, like, if I feel that whole idea of head in the forest and hands in society, I find so difficult to do. Like, I feel like when I'm able to do, like, sadhana, like study circle or read Swami's literature, bhajan or anything like that, like I do feel, I can feel, like that spiritual, like, I don't know, feel, spiritually elevated after doing something like that. And then as I go through my day, like it declines, or, it's just the mundane, like world, like I just can't keep that same feeling, like when I'm doing whatever it is, work at home, work at work, like, and so I feel like it drains, it's like, it's like a negative thing. But then, and then I do it, then like focusing too much on myself, it seems like, I don't know, is it selfish or this?
So I think, the thing is, individual sadhana cannot be neglected. That's why we have to, Swami will say morning and evening you have to pray. Every day you have to do. So because without, even for us to go and do good in the world, in the society, if we are not equipped, we cannot do service. We cannot do service with that state of devotion. And Swami always says, you can't take the car and drive on the street until you master driving in a solitary place. So I think we are all in that boat, and sometimes we need that kind of recharging of batteries on a regular basis, because until we get to a point we are continuously being charged. We have to take time to charge ourselves. That should not be avoided, because we need to know what we are capable of. Swami uses a couple of analogies. He says, if you have a small candle and you go out into the outside, a wind may blow it off. Most of our level of connection to the Lord is also like a small candle. But he says one day, if it becomes like a raging fire, a forest fire, even anything you put in there, it will burn. But we need to know how much is our candle, how the flame, how strong it is. So if the candle is, then you can't expose it too much. So you need to make that candle flame stronger and larger, which can withstand the gales of life itself, the world itself. So I think both are needed. We have to all each decide for ourselves what we can do, how much we can do, and Swami will guide us. I hope that answers to some extent.
Brother, in addition to that, we have a duty too, right? From home, society, and all community wise. So you have to think of in that point of view too, right? If you keep it to yourself and not helping others, that is so. The state of mind has to have a contentment with that. I'm helping others. I'm doing whatever I can do. That is a duty. Duty also is. Krishna says, do your duty without any attachment. That will take the person to a good Lord. So cannot just, that is selfish. As long as your state of mind has to tell you that you are not doing anything to others because you are content or you have done, something is supposed to be there. Just keep it yourself, something is selfish.
See, I think, sister, each person can choose for themselves. I think there are classic good examples. Let's take Buddha, Lord Buddha. He left his young wife and infant son and went. He didn't run away from home. He felt he has to seek truth. So many people would say, including his wife, asked, why did you neglect us and go? You couldn't have achieved it here. But the reality is the same Lord Buddha who went and found whatever he has to, the knowledge. with that he has not only helped his family, generations of world he has helped. Okay, so he may have neglected his duty as a husband, even duty as a father, but he took up a very higher duty. Okay, so that was self-sacrifice by itself. So I think each person has to choose what they do, because it's very difficult for us, anyone else, to fathom what a person is doing. Each person has to evaluate for themselves whether they are neglecting their duty or they are not, but I think that's what I will say. So each person, whichever is important, they have to do. But I think I'll leave it at that. Okay, it should not be a debate.
Yeah, we are not supposed to be judgmental. Then
Exactly.
just leave it to the everyone
Exactly.
choice. Yeah.
Correct.
Then the state of mind. Yes, thank you, Sarah.
Sairam, Sister Shiva.
Sairam, just to add a little practical aspect to what Sister Kalyani asked, I worked in nonprofit, and I was at a point where, when people used to come and they are economically challenged. So I used to give money to them without telling my husband, because I'm helping and feeling good. But at the same time, when my family realized that I'm giving money to people because they are in a dire need, immigrants are coming with low income and all of those things. And something my husband said, which is unconsciously, but it impacted, that you have to be in a position to help others, but not to bring yourself to the level where you are seeking help. As Brother Arun said, that you have to be strong enough. So you can only help people when you are strong enough. And I used to spend a lot of time helping people beyond my working hours and feeling good, but at the same time burnt out. So I have to stop there. And over the period of time, reading and listening to Swami discourses, what I have gathered and interpreted in my own words is, guilt is not good for our spiritual growth. So whatever we are doing, we should be content. I'm doing right, and I need to take care of myself. Never feel guilty. Second thing I have learned is, I can't save the world. I cannot. I can only keep my surrounding clean and whatever I could do within my capacity. But at the same time, self-help is very important too. So this is my take, and I feel I'm much stronger now, that I help within my whatever I could do. But at the same time, I have to heal at the end of the day, do my sadhana, take care of myself, whether people call it selfish, whatever, but I need to find that time to take care of myself. Sairam.
Sairam, Sister, thank you.
Sairamana.
Yes.
Just wanted to share one story here along the lines that was being discussed. So there was this king who found this yogi in a hermitage, and he saw that this person was giving excellent counsel. So he requests this yogi to come to the court as well. He says, your services for taking care of the subjects will be very useful, so please come and serve in the kingdom. The yogi accepts only under one condition, that he will have a room in the palace where only he should he will have the access. Nobody else is to see what is there in the room when he goes to that. And then this person, yogi, comes there, and the king makes him actually like a minister, and he's giving all this counsel and advice, and the kingdom is flourishing. But the king is always curious, because when a very crucial decision is to be made, the minister will go to that room and he will lock himself up, and he will not come out until he's there for quite a bit of time. And then he comes and he gives this wise counsel, which transforms the way that every decision is taken and the kingdom flourishes. So the curiosity gets better of the king, and he wants to know, what is it that this person is doing when he goes into that room. And so one day he follows the yogi, and when he goes inside that room, he gets to peep into that room, and what he sees is that this person who was outside dressed as a minister, he goes there and he sits there inside that room, holds the same begging bowl, and whatever he had, he would wear that clothes of the yogi, sit there in seclusion, in meditation. Whatever he had to think about, he would think, and then he would come. Before coming out again, he changes into that dress of the minister, comes out, and then he passes on that counsel. But of course, once that promise is broken, the yogi has to leave. But then what he realizes at that point in time, when the king asks him, he tells him the whole thing. He says, every time if I have to make any decision in life, very dispassionately, as an observer, I have to go to that level of being a witness, not being part of it. That is where I would go back to wearing that attire of a yogi, holding that begging bowl, holding the thing. And in that state, I make that decision. And that is why it is completely objective. So like what Anna was saying, what other sisters were also saying, if every time we are living in that state of dispassion in our inner self, we go back, connect to Swami every time, go back to our altar, sit down in his presence and make that kind of a connection, and then come back to the world and keep discharging our duties, then slowly with time, maybe we can go to a state where that altar gets extended. So we start with a particular time in a day where we connect, but over a time that connection becomes a continued extension. So every activity is always done in consonance. So literally it leads to hands in the society and head in the forest, because the head in the forest is not there for that particular time in the day. It becomes a continuum with which we do every activity, every action.
Thank you, Sai Satish. Anyone else would like to share any thoughts?
Yes, Sairam, brother. So we took a lot of time with this chapter. So I like to put my view to. So our goal is to avoid the cycle, birth and the death cycle. So in order to do that one, Swami said, you surrender mind, intellect, ego, yourself. If you cannot do that one, most of the people is easy to say, at least in order to get his grace and blessing, because God is very merciful, very kind. Follow the teaching. If you cannot do the teaching, at least do kind of service. If you cannot do the service, at least listen the bhajan and study circle, or if you be with the good satsang, you'll get the God's grace and blessing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, brother. So I think decided that we will work on a good death.
Yeah.
I think that's ultimately Swami is saying. Whatever we are doing, we hope, we want to remember the Lord at the end of our life. Chant Om or any mantra which we like. Meditate on the Lord at that moment, and I think we should practice it every day. And hopefully that will be the last death.
And we can attain liberation in this birth too. Yes. Don't wait for the next birth.
So that's what Swami wants us to,
Yeah.
Should we move on? I think we have
another 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Yeah, at least we'll read. Even if we don't discuss, we can come back.
We can read, yeah.
Ordinary folk do not get the mind fixed on Madhava so easily at the point of death. It presupposes long training, previous achievement of certain accomplishments, what is called Purva Samskara. The mind must have gone through a certain course of discipline. It has to be yoga yukta, possessed of yoga. Even that is not enough. The mind must discard all other thoughts as low and inferior, defiling even. This disgust towards all the objects should grow in strength. When these two are present, the thought of Madhava will certainly emerge and be steady during the last moments. So your mind is the important thing. When the mind rots, all these rots. Man moves as fast as his mind, in the direction that the mind takes. To tame and train the mind, good habits and disciplines have to be sought. Therefore, Krishna began describing how the Lord has to be pictured in the mind during the sadhana stages and with what feelings and emotions he has to be fixed in the mind.
Okay. Sister, I will open it up for any discussion.
Oh, Uncle, here's Swami saying the mind must discard all other thoughts other than God of as low and inferior and defiling. We should have disgust towards them. So how can you work in this world and like because it's true. I think the more like you feel that, oh, like how good it feels to like to do sadhana, the more of a crash it is like when you come and you have to like do like, you know, regular duties. And so at some point, like, do you come to the, I don't know. How do you do that? How do you act in the world and just like without thinking about what you're doing, like, and only thinking of God?
Good question, Kalyani. Very good question. Anyone would like to comment on that? You know, Swami is saying the mind should not have any other thought. I think Swami, Ananyas Chintayanto, you know, that's what Krishna says. No other thought. So how do we function in the world? I think that's the question.
So, Sairam brother, so without doing any attachment, do your duty. So your concentration is supposed to be in God, and you are in this world. Even if you take the avatars, even Sirdi Baba or Bhagawan Sathya Sai Baba, they worked with us, but they are in the world, but their Atma is always in another level. So same way, we have to, our concentration is supposed to be in God. In the same thing, same principle explaining in, if you go to a temple, Lord Vaganas is pointing to the Lord one pointness. So whatever work doing, that's what we pray and do everything. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, brother. Anyone would like to share your thoughts?
Something lost my words, but I will shut my mouth afterwards. But something which helping me from this study circle, it's not how it helps me to remember God is not I'm remembering Swami all the time, but reminding myself that I am not this mind and body. I keep telling myself, what is the truth that Swami is saying? Who you are? Who are you? So am I this mind? Am I this body? Who is doing the work? So keep reminding myself. I believe that I'm not thinking about I am doing it. So ultimately, I believe that's he's getting the work done through me as far as I have good intentions in each and every act and devoted to him. So
Thank you very much, sister.
Brother, one more thing here again. You know, you think it's all God has given, and when you are doing anything, you always sees that God has given me to experience all these things, and you are doing for God. Like everything that you do or think of Him, then that will keep the feeling of others low and to stick on to the God. That's how I would say. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you very much, sister. Any other thought from anyone?
The
Sarah.
mind.
Yes, okay. Go.
Thank you, Auntie. How to keep the mind without rotting? You know, that's my question, because Swami is saying in the second passage, your mind is the most important thing. When the mind rots, all else rots. So, how to keep the mind without rotting? In the all normal circumstances, we always think, oh, the I am divine, the other person also divine. I salute and I treat them as loving brothers and sisters and everything. whenever opinion confronts, or whenever whenever I look at that person as my enemy or something, automatically our mind, it wouldn't behave as we think usually. Usually we will think, I am not the body, not the mind, I am the divine in everything. Theoretically, it would be very nice and everything. But when the actual thing happen, we are unable to. They keep the same thinking or the same mindsets in our thoughts, words, and actions. Immediately, we will be upset, angry, and jumping at that person, and will do everything. So, how to balance that mind when we come across or when we confront a person or anything that we don't like at all, 200% we don't like. So maybe the next week, maybe we may discuss maybe how to practically, get a solution for that one. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Ram Arun.
Yes,
Actually, when the mind rots, all else rots. Instead of that, Swami, what he says is, Manassu chedana, Manishu chedunu.
yes.
Chede dinte, it's not rotting.
I understand. Yes.
It's
Yeah,
not kind of
yeah.
a translation.
Yeah.
Manassu chedana, Manishu chedunu. When his mind is spoiled, his mind,
Man is also spoiled.
That's the
Yeah,
exact.
I understand. Yes.
So,
I think
what's that, brother? I didn't get that one. Mind rots. What's the other one?
Anandi, it's not the correct translation. Rotting is not there. In Telugu, Swami, what he says, mind is spoiled. Chede the entire, what else?
It becomes bad. Something when it becomes bad.
Bad. When it becomes bad. That's
bad.
And a human being also becomes bad. When his mind is bad, a man becomes also bad. That is the translation here.
So I think we will read the Telugu next week.
Next week
and we can go over.
Yeah.
I think I will just comment one.
Because
Yes,
I should bring.
We will read next week, Auntie.
Okay.
I think Kalyani had asked a question. She was saying that why how can we function in the world? Don't we? See, this is one of the reasons why sannyasa is a stage of life in Sanatana Dharma. So people consciously broke away from the relationships, home, and took to completely immersing themselves in the thought of God, so that the death will become good. I think that's one of the reasons. Everyone had recognized it, but we are not there yet. I think why we are not there, because of our last exam we failed, so we are in this situation. Okay, so Swami says in this time at least you try to pass.
Yeah.
So the thing is, we are all in different circumstances in life only because we have failed in that sadhana, most probably. If we had done the right sadhana, we will be in circumstances where only thought of God would have been there. Every day, morning till evening, we will be chanting some mantras, saying His name, whatever we were doing. That would have been made different. If not, it's okay. We can work towards. I think that's what Swami has said. So is anyone, Manori auntie, you want to say something?
No. Yeah, it reminded me of the famous story about a merchant. He named his sons, he gave God's names to his sons, and the final death came. Yeah, it's a famous. So all the sons were around him, and then he thought of his business, and he said, "Who all of you are here, and now who is going to look after the business?" So
correct.
Yeah, we can't trick the system. So I think it's 3:31. We will close today. And we'll continue next week. Hopefully, Swami will tell us how to think of him. We'll close with prayers, please. Saira. Om Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Jai Sai.
Thank
Yeah.
Thank you.
you.
Bye down.